Hi, friends. Dave and Kirsten Hart here with a dear friend of ours that we met about 5 years ago. Hello, Brother Todd. I should
Hey,
say
Dave and
Dr. Todd.
Kirsten,
How
good
are
to see
you?
you. I'm doing great.
Dr. Todd Baker.
Dr. Todd. Yes.
Welcome to Cabin Chat. And we know you because your involvement with the ministry, with Zola Levitt Ministries, but we know you from being in Israel together. Like we
Right.
with you all the time.
And we're all grieving right now that we should be there soon.
Yeah, it's like having my right arm cut off. It's
I
just,
know.
it's very painful and emotionally trying because, as you know, this is our home. We have a spiritual and an indivisible spiritual connection with the land because of what's happened there, the first coming of the Messiah, and what's yet to happen when he returns.
Yep.
We feel that when we auditioned, interviewed for the program, we were talking to Ken and Clayton, and we said, we get the fact that we get to go to Israel. We get that. We just kind of thought it's interesting. Some people are like, yeah, we went to Israel. That was a nice trip.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like when you get what it is, but that's what you do. That's your heartbeat, isn't
Your
it?
home.
Well, it was 1996. I was listening to a fellow student at a seminary I attended in Dallas. He was on the radio giving the Nation of Islam the stage, and this guy was just slandering Jewish people, misrepresenting in Israel. So I called in the station. I said, somebody needs to answer this guy. So they gave me like 15 minutes. And then after that, I said, you need to give someone a full hour and a half, like you gave this guy, to rebut those slanders and misrepresentations. And the radio host says, well, who do you have in mind? I said, Zola Levitt. He goes, well, can you contact him? And I'm like, yeah, I'll try. So I actually went to the telephone book, and that's when, you still had his number was right in there. And I called him and told him what was, what's that?
Did you call his home?
Yeah, well, I actually called Mark's home.
Okay.
And Mark was very intrigued by it. He says, yeah, we need to answer this. So I'll have Dad call you. And so Zola called me. And then that kind of led into other things. And I did some research for him. And then that kind of led into teaching. And then he asked me in 1999 to go to Israel with him and teach. And I told him, hey, if I have to swim over there, I'll do anything to get over there. That's kind of how it evolved. I'm kind of a jack of all trades there. I mean, I write articles. I'm doing faith foundations on YouTube. And so it's kind of a smorgasbord of things, but it's like you. I'm sorry.
Guys are pilgrims over there too. That's
I do, and we
put that on your resume.
Yeah, and we do a little teaching on what the New Testament teaches about baptism beforehand.
Yes.
But it's like you. It was supernatural. I mean, I didn't sit here and try to orchestrate and manipulate things. It was totally the hand of God that brought me under the tutelage of Zola, and I'm just glad that his legacy continues and this ministry continues. We have to do that. And he'd be the first to tell you, it's not about personality, me or somebody else. It's about the gist of what this ministry does. And it's teaching the Jewish roots of the Christian faith, reaching the gospel to the Jew and to the Gentile. And that's what we're doing, all of us together.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're Gentile also, correct?
Well, on my father's side, I have Jewish ancestry. My great-great-grandfather was a Orthodox Jew. And then his son, my great-grandfather, Harry Friedman, lived in Florida, owned a grocery store there. And one day somehow he got a hold of the New Testament, started reading the Gospel of John and got saved. And then ended up teaching a Sunday school class in a Methodist church. And this was back over 100 years ago.
Okay.
Wow. So that's kind of my Jewish, physical Jewish.
In the church at all? Did you grow up going to synagogue?
No, I was raised Roman Catholic.
Wow.
And and then, the Lord kind of brought me out of that when I got saved and born again. And, but when I learned about my Jewish family background from my great aunt. And then when I got saved, I kind of looked into it more and felt that connection, that deep connection with the Jewish people in Israel. And, Zola had a theory that if you as a Christian had a burden, a love, an interest in Israel, that you probably have a Jewish pedigree somewhere in there. And every time he met someone and they followed on through on that, they found out that they had ancestors that were Jewish. So maybe there's something to that, and maybe
Did you do
Not
the
yet.
DNA?
No.
I did the DNA testing. I'm adopted, so I didn't know much about my heritage and my story. So,
right.
Our involvement with the program, like, I'm going to get tested and see.
Good.
I don't think I have any.
She really thought she was.
I bet you do, but it may be way back centuries, or if not, you have the Jewish Messiah living in you, so naturally you're going to be a burden for his ethnic brothers and sisters. Amen. So
thank you.
Hey, give us a little story real quick, like an encounter with Zola, something maybe funny or out of the normal that happened with you guys together. Anything?
Well, let me think here. There's several of them.
Put me on the spot.
Yeah, he used to invite me. He used to invite me over to watch the Cowboy games. He said I had an encyclopedic knowledge about the franchise.
Okay, so I could ask you about that though. Did they serve good snacks for the game?
Well, no. I'd go over to his house every Sunday. He'd invite me over to watch a game there. Now we went to the Texas Rangers at the stadium, but the Cowboy games, he'd invite me to come over. And one time, I played football, when I was younger, very competitive, and I'd get upset if they were doing bad. And one time he had to calm me down. Calm down, it's only a game. I go, I know, but they're blowing it,
Okay, did they serve nachos or did they have hummus?
Nachos or we had sandwiches, but that was something that I really liked. And one thing about Zola is, and you've watched him over the years, he was like he was on TV, so he was that way in person, very humble, very self-effacing, but he had such I kind of, believe it or not, I kind of liken him and Rush Limbaugh's, because they both have a unique perspective on stuff, And Zola, the gift that Zola had is that he could take something complicated in the scriptures and make it simple without compromising or removing the content.
Exactly, and draw you into it.
Yeah. And he was very conversational in his teaching, and I've sat under some professors who were so out there and so esoteric, there was no connection there because they're so removed.
Yeah. How many times have you been to Israel?
I've been 53.
Wow.
54 times.
That's incredible.
And you know what? Every time, and you guys know this, having been there multiple times. Every time you go there, it's like you've been there. It's like the first time you've been there, because you always learn something. You're always experiencing something new.
I get that, but also you feel like you're home.
Absolutely.
Like you feel relaxed.
Absolutely.
Like our first time, it was kind of overwhelming with trying to take it all in, all of the teaching, everywhere you're at. And then it becomes like, oh, I know this place. I love it. I'm home.
Amen. Yeah. I can tell you from all the outreaches we've done, and we've done 49, again, I've never felt like I'm in the spiritual zone. I've never felt that way unless I'm in Israel. I mean, I can hear the voice of God clearly directing me, guiding me on where to go, what to say. And it's just phenomenal. And we realize God is everywhere. He's omnipresent, but Israel is a special place. And he said that he would place his name there forever. He told Solomon that at the dedication of the first temple. This is Jerusalem is a place that I will place my name there forever. Mm-hmm. And if you that reminds me, when I went on my first trip to Israel, we had a lecture by an archaeologist, and he showed the 3 valleys that divide the city of Jerusalem. You might have heard this. And when you look at it on a map from an aerial perspective, it forms a sheen, mm-hmm. the 21st letter in the Hebrew alphabet, including that alphabet. And sheen, as you know, stands for Shaddai. So when God says, I place my name there, well, it looks like he did that literally topographically. Right?
I love that, because he's literal and figurative at the same time.
Amen.
Is that just the greatest? And people don't get that until they walk in the land.
Right. That's right.
Literally see it for yourself. That you're like, oh, everyone says the Bible comes to life. I mean, it really doesn't.
He really does.
And I love that. Yes, he wrote his name and it sounds beautiful, but it's like, no, really, like the rocks in the valley spell his name. I mean, that's just the greatest, isn't it?
But just even hearing that from you just now, it brings it to life. It brings the Bible to life. It brings our relationship with the Lord to life with you.
Amen.
With your teaching. And we're so glad that you're a part of this ministry, and you have been for years. And I'm hoping we all have a lot more years together and
Amen.
tours together. And so, folks, if you're watching at the end of our tour every night, these guys come and have dinner with us. We hear their testimonies.
Todd and August, who we've also interviewed.
We hear testimonies of what their day was like, and it's just phenomenal. So,
hey, Todd, we want to hear more from you. Our time is out for this Zoom, for this cabin chat.
Keep those right there.
But we want to talk with you more. And we know that you started a congregation with Zola Levitt. We're going to hear about that in our next chat together.
Great.
Okay.
Sounds good.
See you in a bit. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us.